Cool. Okay, I think we're recording.
Yeah, it did say recording in progress.
Did.
Cool. All right. Sweet. I'm now going to share my screen.
Alrighty.
And then Gola, you are MC. You may take the floor.
All right. Well, no use delaying another fucking hour and 15. Let's get right into it to number 16.
All right, let's ride. Should we introduce ourselves?
Yeah, so Fire Doc Rivers is actually my maiden name. I'm Gola. And then the two hairy brunette gentlemen on either side of me are Jack and James. They can introduce themselves.
We all have our Philadelphia sports gear on. We got talk with the Phillies, undefeated in the postseason. The
That's
losses don't count.
Okay.
Gola and his Eagle stuff, undefeated in the regular season. And then me and my Penn football stuff, we're 6-0. So respect to the Philadelphia sports teams. We've had our years. They've been bad, but now they're sick. You better respect us. All right.
With all of that, someone who went the opposite of undefeated.
But yeah, at 16 we have Mike and the yodeling Utahs. As you see here, we have their record, their differential, their rank, their strength of schedule is what SOS means, kill leader, and then we have their Pokemon stats on the right. So Mike did change his team a lot mid-season, and I think he started playing a lot better when he made those changes. I think pretty much every game first half of the season, he was kind of getting 2-0'd and not particularly close either. But then once he made all these changes, I saw a lot of 3-game sets that just, something happened that didn't go his way. So I think the changes did end up making sense for his team. One thing that I'd like to see from him in the future, especially because he always has Milotic, I would love to see maybe some more of the flip turn sets. I feel like having momentum with your tanks is such a big deal. If you just kind of let them sit in there and get set up on, it's pretty tough to win. So you send in Milotic to eat a hit because nothing kills it in one shot.
Absolutely nothing.
Out to something that can kill whatever is threatening the Milotic. Talk James, give me your thoughts, but that was kind of the one big thing I saw with this team.
Yeah. I think looking through the pickups and stuff that you had this season, you had a lot of different mons, and I feel like, I don't know, not a lot of offensive firepower. I liked, you switched Mega Venu, Mega Beedrill, Mega Maw, eventually, just getting flustered with the rough start to the season and then changing your team around. Sometimes you lose cohesion. Sometimes mons are harder to use than others. I know I would fucking suck with Mega Ball while because that is just not the kind of mon that I would work well with. I feel like it's pretty hard to use in certain situations. You didn't really have a good trick room setter. And I don't know. I think Lele is a lot easier to use because it's just you run choice specs and you click any move and it's chunking something pretty hard. But yeah, those are my big thoughts. I hope for a bounce back next year.
Yeah, you guys are so prepared. This is great. I love your thoughts. These are so analytical. My thoughts are, Mike, dude, this is incredibly disheartening. You were so almost sick last season. You were the guy who everyone thought was garbage, and then last season was kind of sick, and then proceeded to be garbage again. But then this season, you were garbage at the beginning, and then got rattled, and then proceeded to go down weird sets and stuff. So my ranking for this entire power ranks is going to be based off of 3 factors, and they're kind of vibes based because I didn't do that much research. But my 3 factors are: how good is your team? 1, how good is your team build? 2, so giving your team what are you putting into the match? And then 3, how good is your battling? In the case of Mike, I actually thought your team was fine. I thought you were a 5 out of 10 team, which is average. I like Mega Maw, I like Weavile, I like Thunderous. The 3 of them do well together because Thunderous takes care of the flying birds, where Weavile and Maw just kind of get crushed by those. But at the same time, your team builds are absolute garbage. Literally, I had you as a 0 out of 10 on team builds. There are times why are you not winning flip turn on Melodic? That makes no sense. For example, I really like some sets that are whack, like Sword Stance, what was it? Sword Stance fucking Mill Tank. And then you ran a cool I think
D-Dance
you-
Melodic last week.
Yeah,
That was
D-Dance
wild.
Melodic, that was actually fire too.
It would have
Um,
been really good if you didn't run Life Orb, if you ran like lefties or something.
Yeah,
Like me, I know it probably wouldn't hit that hard, but still, like just taking that chip like every single turn was rough.
yeah. So I had you as the worst possible on team builds. I thought your team builds are garbage. And then your battling is fine, like not great. I had you at 3 on battling. But of everyone on here, I thought you were 15th, which is like a thumbs up compared to the populace. I don't know. Any other thoughts here?
Now let's grind through.
All right, onwards and upwards.
My only thoughts is Soslow was not lying when he said he's not holding back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you got it.
Next up is Ian. So, Talk, maybe correct me if I'm wrong. Did Ian join halfway through last season?
No,
This
no,
is-
no, no. This was his first season.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, you guys might disagree with me. I'm not a huge fan of weather in draft league because I think one of the biggest advantages in draft league is being able to have versatile sets that people don't know exactly what you're going to do. Whereas if
Yeah.
you have a weather
But Gola,
team,
you also have the exact same team as your first season. So
no, yeah, okay, yeah, but like I still have versatile mons, like, but
Okay.
I think weather teams kind of limit you because like there's only so much you can do because like if you bring Tyranitar and Excadrill, everyone knows you're running like the Sand Sweeper.
Bulky
They have to, they only build their team around like having to stop that. Like, and it's tough to stop. I mean, like Excadrill +2 and Sand hits like an absolute truck, but I don't think that weather is the best move for draft league, and that's a personal opinion, like I said. But also like the stats, like Excadrill only coming like half your games if your second best mon is also kind of weird. I feel like you're kind of using some of the lower tier mons a little too often. Especially because like Tentacruel, I feel like its main utility is like spinning and setting toxic spikes, whereas Excadrill's a much better spinner, and Tentacruel came more than it. So like I think you have to take advantage of using your best mons. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head like all the transactions you made that would have made or that could have changed this up at all. But like I'm sure that for a lot of the teams up top, you'll see that their top 3 are pretty much brought to like every game.
Yeah. I think honestly the same thing could be said about Mike's team. I feel like Mike brought a lot of low tier mons, like gimmicky things like almost every week instead of just bringing
They're low
the
point
top
mons
team.
they're low point mons for a reason because they're
Yeah.
normally pretty beatable.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, yeah, to go along with your points about weather, I think weather in general is just hard. It's hard to use in draft, like you said, because it's predictable. And I think like the worst thing you can, like, it's tough to run weather, especially in your first season. But I definitely think Ian showed like
Definitely something.
growth and got better as the season went on, which is admirable. Definitely picked up a win, and definitely had some competitive games. I think it was he didn't play Sam. No, that was Clarkson who almost beat Sam. But yeah.
Weather's tough. For what it's worth, I think people forget. Ian took a game off me. I'm pretty sure. I think it was Ian. Like he literally.
Yeah, he
took a
did.
game.
He did.
And yeah, he did. And then I ranked him 16.
Bitter. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. You don't beat me. If you beat me, I rank you lower. That's like the moral of the story. Yeah, I agree that weather is kind of garbage. Especially, actually, I like rain, and I like rain on Bird's team, and we'll get to this. But like sand with Zapdos, I feel like doesn't mix that well. And then also, I thought that I really dislike your team. So on my ranking of like team build, and then like battling, I had you as like a 3 on team build, which is like not great. A 1, or sorry, 3 on team, 1 on team build, and then 1 on battling. I thought like there's a lot of room for improvement across the board. So yeah, we can move on. Also, I like Tangela and I like Rabambi and I like what you did there, but they had nothing to do with sand. I thought you played sand pretty poorly.
Yeah, it's also like Rabone Beef setting sticky webs, but you're running sand, and Excadrill goes fast in sand, so it's like, pick and choose what we're doing.
Yeah. Oh, we got Sam here. Oh, that's Ben. He's back. I'm turning off your video. Get out of here.
All right, are we ready to move on to the next team?
Yeah,
Yes,
let's
sir.
do it.
Yeah.
Ben, mute yourself too.
So next team, we have the Cheek Clapping Kabutops, which again, another first timer. I thought we showed a decent amount of potential here, especially once you picked up Mega Venu after Mike dropped him. As you can see, like you were 12-7 with him. I think that was the only positive on your team. You obviously knew how to use it well. Because I think your team, like you have a lot of bulk with Deoxys and Skarmory, and a lot of firepower with Gengar, Keldeo, and Draco. So Venusaur was able to kind of do like special attacks some weeks, or like a big tank other weeks you need it. I think that's the best way to use like a versatile mon like that. Like if you have like Mega Venusaur, you don't want like a mega like that to be your special tank every week or your physical tank every week. You want it to be able to do different things, because then people aren't really prepared for it. And that's I like I said like earlier, I think utility is absolutely king in the draft league. So like Mega Venusaur's typing like doesn't lead it to be like that versatile, but like if you know that like if you're not sure whether it's going to be running like special attacking, because it has like a lot of special attack versus like just the bulky variant, it does lead to some decisions you have to make as the opposing team on what you're willing to risk as that. And I think like as you can see here, Deoxys defense probably doesn't seem like you use that well based on the kill death ratio. I know that a lot of the times you kind of stayed in and just like would set spikes and then die and click recover. This is another one, just like Mike's Milotic. Take a hit and click teleport.
Like every time.
Yeah.
That's its fucking job. And then if you're click recover and then hit teleport.
Or spikes. Just like spikes every time. I feel like I feel like I remember beginning of the season he was running like Psy Strike or something, like whatever the fucking Psycho Boost maybe. Like that just never ever. And I feel like that was pretty hammered home by the admins in their power rankings as well. But yeah, it's spikes, teleport, knock off, recover every week. And then
or taunt.
Or taunt, yeah.
Yeah. I've seen some Deoxys defense sets without any attacking moves.
Yeah. It outspeeds every wall. So taunt is going to do a lot of work on opposing wall.
And the way you beat Deoxys defense is with setup and or toxic. So if you taunt the stuff, like that's just not going to happen. You can get out of there. Yeah. Yeah. So I thought you were a pretty good battler. I think there was one way. So my soft spot in Mons is hazards, and then having people die to hazards slowly over time. And I think there was one week where you had like rocks and spikes up, and you were running whirlwinds with Skarmory, and I was just
that was sick. I remember this.
I loved it. That is like my favorite type of gameplay ever. And being able to execute that is really hard because you have to set a bunch of things up. And then it's impeccable because you can run whirlwind on Hippo or on Skarm, and it's great. And you have spikes on Deoxys and on Skarm, and you have a lot of rocks. So it's like you have great hazard control and the ability to get people to like switch out. Impeccable. You should do this more. But then you like let Skarm die, and that really pissed me off because you could have done it over and over again. So I had you as good battling. Let me see. So you're the Kabutops. I had you as like 1 on team. I think your team is garbage, actually. I don't like your team at all. It's like it's very defensive. I think you had a 6 on team build. I don't know why, but I did for whatever reason. And then I have you a 3 on battling. So I think like you had the right ideas with like the spikes and then whirlwinding people out, but then you kept dying for like no reason. So like your battling isn't great. Nonetheless, I think that there's room for improvement. And don't run weather again. Let's just not do that.
The other thing about this was Draco's ult running, what was it, Dragon Tail, like every week. Just run Draco Meteor. It hits way harder. And
I remember I think I almost dropped a game to him because I brought Quag, especially defensive Quag, expecting him to have, the normal like Bolt Beak and then Draco to hit everything. But he had Bolt Beak and then Outrage. So I was like pretty much nearly 2-hit KO'd by it. But I'm like, I feel like the much more versatile set is Bolt Beak, Draco, You can hit everything. Like, yeah, I don't know, but
Right.
Cool. Next Johnson.
Yo, Gola, why is you telestrating on the thing?
what was that?
What's this blue line?
Yeah,
Or is it Soslow?
I thought my computer was cracked. I was really scared for a second.
I don't think that was me.
No, it's Soslow.
Okay.
Take it away.
All right.
Uh-oh.
Sorry. Oh, Jesus, Soslow.
Damn it.
Totally.
All right. Next we have the Tussin Turtwig. So getting into this team, I think as the stats show here, you have some mons that you used well, like Clefable and Crawdon, and some mons that you really did not take advantage of, namely Tornadus. I think Tornadus was at the end of the regular season last year close to, if not the kill leader.
It was.
And the fact that it's like 7 and 14 here is such like a misuse of a 20-point mon, mainly because I think this is a main reason. You don't have anything on your team to run defog other than Tornadus, which you never want to have to run defog on. Like, you want that thing to come in, hit like a truck, and then you turn out if something can wall it. Like, you don't want it to be supportive. Like, I think Talk showed that last year. Like, yeah, you can run like the old school OU set, like Assault Vest with U-turn knockoff with a bunch of HP and speed. But like where it really shines is just like with a Life Orb with clicking Hurricane. Because like not that many things like can resist a fucking Hurricane into a heat wave. Like, and it's really fast. So it just like not a lot of things outspeed it. And also I would say the other problem is like, this is a team building strategy that I abide by. Do not like go for the 5-point mega. It's just like like they stink. They're 5 points for a reason. Like, Mega Camera Up has 20 speed and it dies to any water move, like any fucking ground move, which are two of the most common types. Like, you never want to skip out on the mega, in my opinion. Like, you want something that hits like a truck, which this does, but like you want something that's versatile and won't like. The only way Mega Camera Up is good is in Trick Room, and I mean, does Clefable get Trick Room?
No, well, he had Carbink does and Mesprit does. Mesprit was on and off this team all season.
Like, you don't want to have to bring terrible ass mons just to click Trick Room.
Trick Room, yeah.
And then you're bringing two ass mons, the 5-point mega and the ass Trick Room setter.
Also, I feel like you use Rocky Helmet Tangrowth way too often. I feel like low-key its best set is Assault Vest in a lot of matchups. Like, yeah, sometimes you want to run Rocky Helmet, but it's very I learned this last season when I had it. It's very easily set up upon because it's so slow and doesn't really one-hit KO anything because grass is not a great offensive typing. So, like, I think you want it to get in, take a hit, and then take it out.
Yeah.
So.
And
What do you guys think?
No, I think this, like, I don't know. I think this team on paper is very versatile. It's very slow outside of Torn and and Chow a little bit, but like the speed tiers are way off on this team. Yeah. Celesteela, I feel like I felt just like had the Heavy Slam Flamethrower Leech Seed Protect set way too often. That is a super versatile mod. I think he did run Band 1 week, which we've been asking for years now, and so that was cool. But like, I don't know. I think Crawdon could have been brought more often, and just like Life Orb or Band with the Aquajet hits like a fucking tank.
Yeah, Talk. I totally agree with your speech here. Now that I'm looking at it, he does not have a single mon between 105, which I think Miancho is, 60. Like, that's half the fucking Pokemon base between the speed tier. So like anything below Miancho's speed just doesn't have to run speed, can run all HP. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, Tornadus is a great like fastest mon, but like you gotta have some in between there.
Yeah. All right.
Cool. My thoughts. I think this team is like scary on paper. I didn't realize the speed tier thing. It's a good point. But on paper, I think it's like a 7 out of 10 team. It's kind of scary. I don't want to deal with Torn. And if you run the right sets, it can be very scary, like Gola elucidates. And then Celesteela. I just want to play with Celesteela one season. Celesteela or Mew, because they just seem like so much fun to like think of crazy sets with. And I'm not getting that, like when I see Celesteela, I want to not know what the fuck's coming and I want to be afraid of it. But I'm not feeling that. So I thought your team building was like mediocre. I had you as a 5 on team building, whatever. And then on battling, I had you as a 2. The one thing I do agree, I wish you brought Crawdon more. Crawdon is like low-key scary as fuck. I miss seeing Crawdon. And
Adaptability is such a broken fucking ability. Like,
yeah,
Adaptability is sick, especially with knockoff. It's like
yeah,
it's a problem. It's a
What takes-
problem. It's like I feel like Crawdon and Alola and Marowak are just like those things are OP. If they
Yeah.
just get in, something's gonna die and you're not gonna like the taste of it.
yeah, like they're slow as shit, but like if you get something in that's gonna die to it, like they're gonna switch out anyway, so the speed doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's what, like those are the type of mons that you need to have good momentum for. like-
Yeah,
And I feel like in theory you should, like Torn gets U-turn, Clef gets teleport, Mienshao gets U-turn. Like I don't know if I saw a ton of momentum from the sets this year. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but
yeah. I didn't see it. I didn't think you got Crawdon in well, but I think you played Crawdon well when it got in. I wish you brought my Mienshao out more. Mienshao's like scary as fuck too. You
Yeah,
throw a
Mienshao-
life orb on that thing, high jump kick, that thing's ripping. You
Yeah,
only
it's
brought it to
easy.
one game, I guess. Yeah.
I think it was probably a late season pickup, which
no, he's
He
had it.
had
He
it
had
all
it all
season.
year. He had it
Really?
all year. Yeah,
Yeah.
What? It's his 4th highest point mon.
I know.
Right.
Right, yeah, that's
But it doesn't have trick room, so
Yeah. Also, Clef is another mod like Celesteela that could have just like a multitude of really scary sets.
Yeah.
Like when I look at this team, I am afraid. Like if I know that if this was in my hands, I would be afraid of me because I'm nasty at team builds. But if this was in like Bert's hands, I'd be really scared. But if in your hands, I get less scared because I know it's going to be like the same sets. So those are my thoughts. All right, let's
Next.
move on. All
Let's
right,
move
that's
on.
it.
All right. So next we have tied for 11th, which might come as a shock, and then you'll look at Soslow's ranking. Also, I want to ask you to start here to
Okay.
see. I know you ranked by vibes, but what made you so much higher on that than me and Talk?
Yeah. So, okay. So on this, first, Mew is scary. So when I look at the team, I think this is actually very good team. Mew,
agree.
Lando, Conk, like those things work really nicely together. All the things that Mew doesn't like, Conk just eats up, and then Lando across the board can do a bunch of different things. That's very scary. It can be Scarf, it can be Band, it can be Pivot, it can be defensive, it can do all these different things that are great. It can defog, it can U-turn, it can do all these stuff. It's incredible. It's literally an incredible mod. Same with Mew. It can be offensive, defensive, screen, setter, all of these things. Incredible. So when I look at this team, I get really scared. And then at the same time, he's really good win cons. So like Serp is nasty. Like, you can throw a scarf on that thing. Like at any point in the game, you can lose. Just like immediately dead up, straight up, you're going to lose. And Audino Mega can also be really scary and you can lose at any point. So I look at his team and I get very scared. There was a point when I was playing him last week where I was like, I don't like play this very carefully. I'm going to lose this game. Like if Serp gets in with a scarf, like I have nothing faster than it, can't OHKO it, so I have to be very careful. So his team is very good. Where I think he falters a little bit is on team build. So I had him as like a 7 out of 10 on team, 2 out of 10 on team build.
Yeah.
I just don't think Mad puts in a lot of time. Like when I played him this week, he was like, oh, I forgot we were going to play. I'm just going to use an old team. And in particular, there have been some like really, really objectively terrible sets. Like we did not shit on him enough for the Dragon Dance U-turn set. Like that should not exist in any world ever. Like that is the worst set I've ever seen in my
so
entire life.
So bad, especially with a life orb. You Dragon
Right.
Dance with a U-turn with a life orb. That's
I
an
was blown away that set existed. You can't put those pieces together in your mind and be like, this tracks, you know, like that doesn't make any sense to me. So I think his team builds are bad, but like on battling, it makes sense. Like he gets the right players in at the right time. He expects the right moves. So I had him as like a 7, then a 2 on team build, and then a 6 on battling. So it's like pretty good. And yeah, that's my take. He just has like a scary team at large, and with like a solid battler. I think he's like pretty scary. He beat Talk, and Talk, that's another point. Talk is good. All right. Nobody respects Talk in this league. Talk beat Sam in the playoffs last year handedly. And then he should have beaten Clayton this year in like the final game. And people are going to argue that Clayton's the best. He's not the best. You'll see in my power ranks. Don't have him as number 1. But Talk is really good. All right. And if you beat Talk, I think you get a lot of credit for that. And I was scared of him in my match. So That's why I had him at the.
Yeah, okay, so why I was not as high on him, I think he showed a lot more potential this season than he had in past seasons, obviously. But like one thing that is just so glaring to me when looking at this, like how are you 0-10 with Alolan Muck? Like you go into the season, it's one of my favorite mons to use. Like you don't get one kill. It comes 10 times and dies all 10. Like I know Alolan Muck's not really versatile. It comes in and it has an assault vest and it clicks pursuit and knockoff, but like I feel like if that's the stats for the season, you're just not bringing it in the right matchups, which is again Sazo's whole thing about team building, which is like very like lacking with this team. I think it was very risky to take Mew with your first round pick on this team, especially like with kind of the lack of success in the past. I think you like honestly did better than I expected, but Mew is like so good and versatile, but I honestly would never want to draft it because I think it's just like it's too much of a good thing where you never know what's the right set to run, in my opinion. So I kind of stay away from it. But then yeah, like Conkeldur's another one, like a hard-hitting mon like that, where it's literally just in to fucking kill mons. Should never really go 7-13. Like
It needs more kills.
yeah, like it's literally there to hit like an absolute truck. So I would say that like you're probably just not, again, either not bringing it in the right matchups or just bringing it in at the wrong times. And it's pretty bulky too, so it can live like a physical hit and then like kill something right afterwards. Like I don't know. Talk. What are your feelings on the team?
I mean, I think this this team is very scary. There are lots of really scary mons on this team that are hard to deal with. Yeah, I don't know. I think Mad like showed a lot of potential this season. I think he played like a lot better than he has in previous seasons. He did have the second easiest schedule. I didn't want to be the one to point it out, but I think he played both Ian and Clarkson, who are the two new guys and stuff, but who definitely brings his strength of schedule down. But like I don't know. I think he started to put it together later in the season. And this team like is really good all around. I think Mew is a great mon to have. Obviously it's like 20 points and stuff, but between Mew, Lando, Conk, Serp, those are all like really scary to go up against. And I think he got better when he picked up Mega Audino. I think this team got a lot better because he could start providing some wish support to those super offensive mons.
Especially because none of his walls get recovery at all.
Yeah.
Besides Mew.
The only thing that gets recovery is Mew, right?
Yeah.
On this team. Does Empoleon get roost? No, right?
Audino has recovery, right?
Leon does not get roost. That's like
Audino can recover though.
Audino has wish. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
But I also do agree we should probably move faster, at least through the non-playoff.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, fair enough. Also, he has three normal types. If you have a 1-point mon, let's not make it Bidoof, like I use my 1-point mon so nicely. Like you gotta
we all can't be as good as team building.
We'll get there.
Okay.
All right. Next, tied for 11th, we have the East Aurora Agron, which was the last team out of the playoffs. And I very much thought his team was good enough to make the playoffs. I think that week 9 match against Roger was definitely a must win that he kind of threw away. My big issue with this team, which you can't see the point values with the Mons, but Mega Glade is like 20 points, Aegislash is 18, Hydreigon 17, I think, and everything else is 12 or below. Like you have a top tier, and then like you brought Beware and Piloswine, which is combined 17 points to one match, which is just a huge waste of points. Like I don't really see the point of like having an 8-point mon if you're never going to bring it. Either make it a 1-point mon or a 15-point mon. Like 8 points does nothing for you if you're not going to use it. Like I have one 8-point mon on my team and it's Fortress, and like it comes to do hazard support sometimes. And also looking at your team now, I'm realizing that Piloswine is your only mon that has hazards and you didn't bring it one time. Like Saza brought up earlier, hazards are so fucking big. And it's part of the reason why I like when I looked at your team last week when I was building for you, I'm like, okay, his only defoggers are Hydreigon and Moltres. And it seems like you kind of fell in love with the offensive Moltres set at the end of the year, which I'm not sure you really should have, especially considering your team build is very offensive in general. Like I'm setting up rocks with Fortress and you're coming in with Moltres and then clicking Hurricane, where you should be coming in and clicking Defog because it's free. Like, I don't know. I think this team could have been very good, but the beware through Piloswine and kind of Boltund is where it really falls apart. Because like there's no reason to have 5 9 to 7 point mons on your team. Like get something good or get something bad. Like all these mediocre mons, they're mediocre for a reason. Like I don't see a ton of value in having them on the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, I think he started like really going all in on the hyper offense build, which in the case of like this team, like Glade is obviously like scary as fuck, and then Age can be an offensive set or can be defensive. So it's kind of a toss up there. Moltres, same thing, can be offensive, can be offensive, can be defensive. Hydreigon, Spectre Scarf, you're just guessing when you're playing it, when you're prepping for it. But it is the hyper offense, I think, worked, and I think this team honestly should be in the playoffs. But just I think the way Kevin plays some games, he throws at some points. It's like
when he let Glade die in our second game last week.
Yeah. I think it's the battling for Kevin. I think like towards the end of games, playing the end games like wrong is probably the reason why this team isn't in the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, he totally committed to hyper offense, which I respect. I think cool. I like your point. I like your.
It was scary playing against.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I like your point though about like all the middle mons. Like Boltund actually was really good for him though. So
yeah, no,
Boltund's nice.
A good 7 point mon, but like I said,
Yeah.
you have. I think did he have Piloswine the whole year and he didn't bring it one time as an 8 point mon?
I think he picked it up late.
Okay. That'll be an excuse. We'll have an 8 point mon that you did not use all year.
Yeah. On Haas, like at face value, his team's really scary. But then I realized that like he only has breakers, which is every single one of his offensive mons, Gallade through Beware, breaks. I'm turning off Ben's video. Shoot. All of them break. So like when I make my teams, I try to do like 1 or 2 defensive mons to like stop the main threats. Z, if you're listening, stop listening, right? So I'd like to do 1 or 2 defensive mons to like stop the main threats. Then I like to have like 1 or 2 breakers and then 1 or 2 cleaners. And on his team, I see no like hazards. And like I like my defensive mons to either pivot or set hazards, because hazards are equivalent to pivot to my mind, because you have to get them off. Like if you're not prepared for them, you like more or less have to get them off. So that's a free turn. And in my case, I also run like a Defiant Zapdos Galar. So if you try to get them off, you're like really scared. So I think hazards are like just as good as pivoting. So like when I look at your mons on defense, like you have no rocks on Gastro, you have no rocks or pivots on Gastro or Aromatisse, and on Muck. So like in those cases, your defensive mons aren't really that good. And they don't give you any momentum, and then you only have breakers. So not that scary of a team, in my opinion. I mean, it's scary on paper, but like not like the right team build. So I had you as like a 7 on team, 4 on team build, 3 on battling. And like you guys said, I thought that the weak point was on battling. You can, if you fix the end games, I thought you threw a lot of games and you had a pretty good team. So those were my thoughts there.
All right, let's get to the playoff teams.
All right, onwards.
All right, first we have the San Francisco Seismitoads, the late addition to the playoff crew. Roger loves being in the very fringe of the playoff group and loves sneaking his way in there. Getting into his team, it seems like when Roger has Slowking Galar, he knows better than anyone how to use it, and his team is normally pretty good. One thing that I will say, please stop running fake out on Megalopony.
Yeah.
It's like a free turn for the other team. If I bring in my physical wall Slowking to take
With
your
Rocky
hand,
helmet.
take your fucking return, and you click fake out, It is so free for me. You're already faster than pretty much everything in the game other than like Zera and Dragapult. Stop using fake out. Like Mega Lopunny's job is to come in, be faster than everything, and hit like a truck. If you're using fake out, you're kind of bailing everyone out.
Yeah.
And also, like, obviously you know how to use Slick and Galar as your special wall. I think the stats kind of show on this board here that Corviknight and Arcanine really did not do well for your team at all. And this is another thing where I hate when people bring in their like walls, they take 20% from whatever hit it is, and then they roost it off instead of like momentum, instead of using a momentum turn to get out of there. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to die the next turn. Get out of there and get in something that can kill something. You sitting there clicking Morning Sun with Arcanine is the least threatening thing like ever. It is so easy to play against when people just recover with walls, in my opinion. Like,
Cool. I'm loving these hot takes. Let's get it. I'm
well,
bringing
no,
it down. Let's go.
I think if you have a wall with momentum, use the momentum. Don't
Yeah.
like, don't play Arcanine like it's Tangrowth. Play it like it's Arcanine. Like,
Right.
I don't know. I think Seismitoad probably came a little too often, which makes sense
That mon is not good.
because you
Mhm.
don't have any hazards beside it, which is a team building issue. So I understand why it had to come, because you like getting rocks up, especially since you have a stall team and hazards are really important. But if you're going to build a stall team, you need to have much more hazard options than one mon who's like pretty mediocre, in my opinion.
So also Roger gave you a run for your money, right?
It was pretty close. I won 2-0, but
Roger, I won 2-1 against Roger. I lost the match because he was tilting me so hard by staying in everything. It was literally the most frustrating match I've ever had. I also made misplays. Like, some of them he didn't really have any reason to switch out, and I predicted the switch anyway. But yeah, most frustrating match of the season by far.
I think Gola, to your point about Roger staying in and not switching out, I think the way that he battles, I think if I'm doing the Soslow 1 to 10, his battling is like a 3. Honestly, it's like, because he's like switching stuff in for what reason? I don't know. What is he trying to? He over predicts every fucking turn, and it's like he just ends up sacking shit for no reason throughout every single game, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. I think the way that I think kind of similarly to what we said about Kevin, I think just the battling could have been better, could have gotten him more wins, but the team building is fine. The team composition is good. Just some of the decision making is poor.
Yeah, I agree. I really liked your Jumpa pickup for Blacephalon. I've been looking at Blacephalon a lot because I'm playing Z and I'm trying to figure out like what to add. Jumpa, great pickup for that. You like clearly countered Z and got yourself in the playoffs with that pickup. So you got a lot of credit for that. Additionally, I thought your team was scary. I thought Mega Lopunny, despite the KD, was like incredibly underwhelming this season. I thought I just don't like it. I feel like a lot of things roll in, and it doesn't have any like setup moves.
Well,
yeah.
No, it doesn't have setup moves because it's so fast. It also hits really hard, but you should be breaking by clicking return.
Or close
Yeah.
And if you have fake out, you're losing them.
It's like, yeah, if I have to switch in, I would much rather switch into a fake out than a close combat or a return. And then if like it tanks it well, guess what? I click U-turn next turn for free and I get something else on the wall. Like,
yeah. The other thing, I thought he brought the same set for Lop every week. I don't know if it has a lot of sets. I don't think it does, or maybe it's just like not good. But I think there's like opportunity to change up the set. Additionally, I would have loved to see a D-Dance Kyurem this year. That would have been sick.
No, I agree.
And like against my team, if you ran like D-Dance Kyurem with like Freeze Dry, I would have lost immediately. Your Kyurem got walled by my Lickitung. Like I beat you 1v1.
That is one thing that I've always, whenever I play Kyurem in this league, I'm always terrified of the mixed set.
Oh yeah.
No one ever brings it. No one ever brings it. Like the mixed set like works so well. Like you have ice moves, you have earth power for the steel types, you have iron head for the fairy types. Like it works so well, but like no one ever really seems to run it. I don't really get it.
Yeah. Kiram's scary, man. Kiram,
Good
when I
stats.
was
Great
playing it,
stats.
I was like, I'm gonna lose to Kiram. Like, straight up, like I don't know how I stopped this thing. And then fortunately, he brought a set that lost to like a ton, which is fortunate. But yeah, those are all my thoughts. I agree with all you guys. I think his team building was okay, and I thought his team was scary, but battling could use some
All right,
more.
let's move
Okay.
on.
Onwards.
Tied for 8th, we have the New England Nido Kings.
This team is kind of scary.
This team is nasty. It's like so scary. I want nothing to do with
Zardex
this
is just
team.
a beast. I think Zardex ended as the season kill leader, I think.
Really.
I think it got passed by actually your Greninja after you uploaded your match.
Nice. Zard Fini Rude is just like such a scary core.
Yeah. So on this team, I think Andrew used Zardex way better than we've seen it used in this league thus far. I feel
Take
like
my face. Take my face.
well, I mean, you and Sam, I don't think you did nearly as well as Andrew did. But also, the Gliscor stats are extremely disappointing. Like, it's your second highest value mon, and it has 1 kill in the season and dies pretty much every time you bring it. I feel like you're kind of just not using it right. Like, this is another mon. You come in, you take a hit, and you U-turn out, or you click Stealth Rock, or you click Defog. It is one of the best utility mons available. There's no reason to like ever just stay in with Gliscor, in my opinion. You can always click a move that has value, and I'm not sure if he always did.
Unless you can set up. SD is pretty good.
So SD Gliscor is nasty.
In the
Such a
very
good
niche
lane combo.
matchups, SD Gliscor is very good. But then like week 1, I played him and he brought a Gliscor with no way to hit my Crobat, and I set a plot and swept his entire team.
Yeah.
Like you just can't bring like if his Gliscor had U-turn, I couldn't set up on it. He could bring in his elf and kill me, you know, because I think he was scarfed. But then also another thing that I'm seeing, why is he bringing Vikavolt so much? That mon's not good. It does not
Vikavolt's nasty.
Hey,
Vikavolt's nasty.
Vikavolt is good.
Yeah.
Do the numbers show that? He's 1-11 with it.
Bro, if you throw up Web's Vikavolt, you can't throw in any foggers because they're all flying types. So what you do is you get bolted on and then you lose. And the webs are
obviously that strategy was not utilized based on the numbers. I mean,
yes.
I think Vikavolt's not a good mon at all. There's no reason to be coming twice as much as Bronzong and more than Zarude. Like, it's a niche mon that's good in some matchups, but like a bug electric type, like, dude, come on. Like, I just don't think it's a good mon because its special attack is huge, but electric and bug are some of the worst offensive typings that we have. Like, I just don't think it uses its stats well as a mon.
Electric is a pretty good offensive typing.
Yeah.
Only for flying. And I guess water, but
it hits everything neutral except for ground.
It's good, dude. It's really electric bug is not like great offensive typing, but Vikavolt is nice. Like you run a tank, you don't run any speed on it, like plus HP, plus special attack, and it's just as good as Magnesium.
It takes hits really well, and it has roost. It's like
it has roost. Yes, you throw sticky webs, roost, volt switch, bug buzz. That thing is great.
That's a good set. I think, I still am I think Gliscor is the biggest indictment on this team. And then I think the second one is the Finny, Misty Terrain, Zardex, Dragon Move kind of synergy. I don't love that. Azelf is scary just in general.
So scary. It's so underrated every season.
So underrated.
One with 115 speed and like, what is it, 130 in both attacks is so broken.
Very, very scary.
I try to draft it every year and it goes like 3 picks before me every season.
What happens with the Zelf, I feel like, is I also want to have a Zelf, but before there are always too many good psychic mons. So you always have like 2 psychic mons on your team before you draft a Zelf, and then you're like, fuck, like I can't draft a Zelf now.
Very fair. But I agree with Bert that Skuntank was underutilized. This is another instance with like Machamp and Skuntank where I think it's a 7-point mon and a 6-point mon. If you're not going to use them, make it a 1-point mon and a 15-point mon or a 13-point mon, you know, like I feel like you want 8 usable mons on your team. Having 9 really does nothing for you if they're less good. But that's just my team building philosophy. So I don't expect everyone to abide by it because I know that there's different ways to build a team, but that's just
Yeah.
my. All right,
Another hat in the ring for you can turn your 1 point mon into something useful.
Yes.
Also, this like
yeah.
we gotta respect this team. Like this team is nasty. I'm very scared of this team.
This is what I'm building for in the play-in.
Oh
yeah.
yes. Yeah.
This will be interesting.
It's a tough team.
Are you doing you're doing physical defensive scissor to stop Megazard?
Yep, exactly. Exactly. I think bullet punch hits is pretty hard. So
I think one thing that I will say, talk is
Mhm.
I don't think Vicinity puts a ton of time into his team builds in the regular season, but in the playoffs, I think he
goes off.
does. And I think his biggest weakness was team builds this year. So just be
There were
ready for
some weird top of finish sets that
Yeah.
I was like not a fan of. I was just actually watching the replay for his game the other day. It was against I forget who it was against, but he ran surf on Finney instead of Scald, and I was like, I just don't know why you ever do that, because like whoever he was playing had a bunch of physical attackers, and I'm like, you don't need 10 more power if you could just like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't switch in. What do you switch in on Finney? Because I feel like he's gonna run like a scarf trick set at some point.
Don't answer that.
Yeah.
All right, let's.
I'm not answering that.
Okay.
Let's move on to the next one.
Oh, that's a good point, Clayton, because the Misty Terrain, you can't burn mons. That's a good point.
Oh, yeah.
All right, moving on.
All right, tied for 8th. And
I don't know
as you
how
see,
he fell all the way down to.
there is a huge discrepancy in rankings here. So I will let Soslow go first. Soslow, take it away.
His team's garbage. What else do I need to say? Z is a good battler. All right. He's really good at predicting what you want to do. But when I look at his team, I see like 2 defensive mons that you can really set up upon in Pharaoh and Pex. Or pivot out on very easily.
Pex is terrible. It is such an awful mon in draft.
Yeah,
Especially
Z, I'm going to tell you this right now. Anytime you send in Pex, I'm going to send in Slowbro. I'm going to click Future Sight, and then I'm going to kick Teleport. And then, I'm telling you this right now. That's like what's going to happen. And then I'm going to teleport into Zapdos Galar, and then you're going to be really afraid to switch back into Pex as your stop for Bro Galar because there's a Future Sight up, and it's going to die to the Future Sight. So that's like it's not going to work. All right. So. And then also your top 2 mons just lose to Munchlax. Like if I'm able to get Munchlax from Sam, I put Pursuit on it, maybe even a band, and like both your top 2 mons just immediately lose to Munchlax. So this is another thing that I'm like looking for when I build for you is I'm looking for something with Pursuit because Latias and Blacephalon, I don't know why no one has done this yet, but nobody has run Pursuit against you, and I feel like you're very weak to it. Like sure you could run like a trick Blacephalon
because he loves to switch all the time because he has the walls to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I lost to Z. I think the only time I played Z, I lost to Z because he just predicted every single one of my moves. And I'm very scared about playing him because I think he's going to do the exact same thing. But I don't think his team is good, and I'm confident going in because of that. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah. So for me, the biggest issue with this team, which I exploited so heavily when I played him 2 weeks ago, is the lack of hazard control. His only defog mons are Latias and Comfy. Do you want to run defog on either of those things? Do you even want to bring Comfy? No. Like, I understand that his strategy is to set up so many hazards with Ferrothorn that the other team defogs for him. But like, that's not a viable strategy, in my opinion. And I understand that he used Latias really well this season. I think it was 2nd in kills. But like, his team is kind of the opposite of what I've been preaching. I think he has a bunch of good mons, but he has no great mons. He has nothing that you're like truly scared of. Blacephalon is very scary, but like, he doesn't really have many mons that you team build for, and you're like, oh fuck, what do I have to stop this? I think Blacephalon is the only one, really, in my opinion. And also, Toxapex is garbage. You should drop that immediately. It's the worst draft league mon ever. It gets like you can click substitute on it with any mon. You can click taunt and it's useless. Like it is a terrible draft league mon because it can't do anything else than what it does. And it's good in OU because not like if you have a Keldeo on your team, you're fucked. But like it is not good in draft league because everyone knows what it's going to do. Talk.
I'll give some props to the weakness policy stats.
Yeah, Talk. You ranked him 6th. Soslow ranked him 12th. I was right in the middle. Let's see
I think
why
Z's team building has been stellar this year. I think like he's taken advantage of what he thinks the opponent is going to do to him. Like, right. So like running all of these weakness policy sets, like no one has run as many successful weakness policy sets in a season as Z. Like weakness policy plus F1, how do you even get that thing to take a fucking hit? And then it sweeps. It's like I don't know. I think this team, like team aside, this is a team that he obviously loves and like is a team that's built for the way that he battles. But like the sets have been very creative and definitely like thrown a wrench into what people prep for.
Yeah.
I will say this season, it seems like he's not used Snorlax nearly as well as he normally does.
I don't know why he didn't have rest on it the other match, like this week 10, because he kept clicking curse. He kept kicking. If he just clicked rest one time, it was over. The game was over.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
All right. And I will say one last thing is he had a very difficult end to the season, which is kind of why I ranked him lower than maybe his record and seeding should suggest. And perfect segue, the other team with a terrible end of the season is...
Oh, it's me. It's me.
So, Talk, I'll start off because Talk probably handed me my worst, if not second worst defeat in this league. The only other potential contender being Bert week like 3 of last season when I dropped.
He rocked you
afterwards.
Where he rocked you so hard you almost retired.
Greninja is so fucking good. It is like so scary. But I think the biggest issue with your team is the only hazards you have are Greninja and Infernape, and neither of them really want to run hazards.
Yeah,
like I lost my game against you because I put Defog on Crobat instead of Roost for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
Like for basically no reason. I think you kind of underutilized Togekiss a little bit because you've played really well with it. I feel like it should come more, especially since it's your only defogger other than Scizor, which is another issue. I feel like you've used Scizor way too defensively. I'm on record when you drafted it, I said that Mega Scizor sucks. So like that's my opinion, but I think you've run it way too defensively this year.
Yeah,
Mega Scizor does suck. I agree with you.
It's like
it doesn't suck
every once in a while.
It lost to Monferno.
Okay, yeah, it did lose to Monferno. But I don't think it sucks. It's I think like I've definitely, the way my team is set up definitely lends itself to it being more defensive. I did run Sword Stance for the first time last week against Clayton and it swept.
Sword Stance Scizor is the only way to play. It's nice.
That's like Togekiss, Quagsire, and Vaporeon are very bulky, and even Type Nell, which I think sucks. Like you can run enough bulk where you can run offensive Scizor. I don't think you've taken advantage of it enough. But yeah, Greninja is so good. It destroys my team, as I think maybe 12 of your 35 kills came from our game.
Black got a bunch.
What's up?
Blackie got a bunch.
Thwacky did get a bunch, yeah.
Blackie's nice.
But yeah,
I'm surprised you dropped it. It's so good.
I think you've played very well with your top 3 Mons. I would like to see a little bit more from Infernape and Togekiss. Yeah. Because I think they're both really good.
I definitely agree with that. I agree. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you want me to give my thoughts? And then respond?
Give the thought.
Okay. I think, so Mega Scizor kind of garbage, but so Talk, I think your team is still really nice. What you find though is that your team is really weak to hazards.
I shouldn't have let you play with Klefki. I shouldn't have let you.
That was a huge mistake. It's totally scummy of me to play with Klefki.
He's gonna go into his first playoff match like 3 hours beforehand. He's like, you mind if I drop like half my team?
Totally scummy. I'm sorry. Like,
No, it's
all
okay.
right. Yeah, but you allowed it. All right. So it's like, fair enough. You could have easily said no. But you're really weak to hazards, in particular spikes. And took advantage of you there. I did hammer you, I think, in that game, but you also hammered Gola. I think your team is good. I think your team is very, very good. The U-turn into Zygarde and or Greninja on Caesar is just huge because everything that flips into the U-turn gets crushed by those two mons. Your use of Greninja this year has been just impeccable. Like
Disgusting.
that, I don't know why it's like you in special mons like Torn last year, you just rip.
Oh,
Yeah.
talk. Also, if you had Dark Pulse on Greninja last week against Clayton, you would have like double 6-0'd him.
Yeah, not close.
Do you think
Yeah.
so?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
Your
U-turn
team-
I think is useless on Specs Mons. Like, it's not like
I
Scarf.
disagree. I disagree with that.
I disagree.
I don't know. You're running Specs because it comes in to hit something hard as fuck. U-turn is a free click for the other team.
Well, I
If you
think
have,
okay.
like-
Anyway, if I had run Dark Pulse against Clayton, he would have gotten Coco in way more often. He would have switched
I don't
Coco
think he
to
switches.
Dark
I don't
Pulse
think
a
he
lot.
switches in Coco on Specs Greninja though. That's like too.
Also,
that's too
isn't that
scary.
also a 2-hit KO?
Also,
I
you
mean-
didn't click. You never clicked Ice Beam once.
Yeah, because it was Hydro was hitting everything except for Mance harder.
Yeah, so that's the point. Like, why are you running Ice Beam if you're never going to click it?
Well, if I was 1v1 with Mance, I would click Ice Beam.
Yeah, but what if you're 1v5 with his entire team up?
I guess that's fair.
Yeah, Greninja's a breaker. You put it in the beginning of the game, not the end. So yeah, I think your team's very good. I love Scarf Togekiss. The Togekiss is so nice, dude.
Togekiss is great.
I think you there's 1 week where you're gonna win with Togekiss just like by putting a scarf on it and or Thunderwave Slash, and it's gonna rip. I think you rely too much on Type Null as your tank. I would love to see you use Vape as a tank like Bert did last year, which is just like a weird variety of like tanky moves to stop people from setting up on it. So it could be a mix of Haze. Does it get taunt? It doesn't get taunt.
No.
But it gets protect leftovers wish. And then in that combo of like moves, it can stop things from setting up on it. So like you could run like a toxic to stop something from setting up. You could run, I don't know, flip turn to like get into like better position. But there's some combination of moves on Vaporeon that pretty much walls everything in the game.
Another
So
mon that
that,
you use flip turn on.
yeah,
I do
you gotta
use
use flip
flip
turn.
turn
You
on,
gotta, yeah. Vaporeon's really good.
Yeah.
Infernape, I feel Monferno has a better KD than Infernape this year, for what it's worth.
Hey, we'll get there. We'll get there. You
Okay.
fought twice. We'll see
Yeah.
his Katie. All right,
I
let's
like the Togemaru
next team.
pickup.
go to the next team.
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
Fine,
let's
we can move on. Okay, Talk. Do you have any thoughts on your team?
My team is good. I'm coming for the chip. Anyway,
All right,
Move
there you go. Onwards.
All right.
this team is actually fucking sick though.
It's nasty.
Okay,
This team is so.
So this team is so scary offensively. I have no idea what I'm going to do with Mega Sharpedo when I play him after he wins in the play-in. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but I know what I will do is I will click whatever move I want with my hard-hitting mons, and he will have nothing to switch into it. His team is extremely good offensively, but when I have Terrakion and I click close combat, what is he switching in?
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
He's switching Latios into a fucking Terrakion.
No chance.
Like I think his team is really good, but I very much worry about the lack of walls, especially because Heatran is another mon. You want to be versatile. You don't want to run the rocks special wall every week. Sometimes you want to run Eruption with this choice scarf. With his team, I don't really feel like he has a choice because his only other defensive mon is Swampert, which is a great defensive mon. But I think he has a very good offensive team that's very scary to switch into. But I would trust Matt's a very good battler. I would trust a better battler to be able to work around this team relatively easily.
Yeah. Yeah. My take is the same as yours, Gola. So I had the same team last year, more or less, like Swampert, Rillaboom.
Also, his hazard control's bad.
Yeah. I just like the combo around Rillaboom is just so nasty. This core is super scary. You destroyed me earlier in the season, which made me change my entire team. But I had the same issue last year as you're going to face in the playoffs, which is if you have Terrakion with close combat, when you face my Zapdos Galar with a Scarf, I'm running Scarf against you. I'm clicking close combat and you are switching nothing in, and something is going to die, and you're not going to like it. And so it's like you face like a fast breaker, or say for example like a Trick Room Mega Mawile, and they just run through your team. And so I guess the moral of the story is that like when you have like a bulky offense team, you need one thing that can sponge a hit, just one thing. And I don't see it on the team right now. So yeah. Oh, and then okay, so I went away from my thing, but I had you as like a 9 on team, 5 on team build, and 5 on battling.
Yeah, I think when I played Matt earlier this season, I think his team build was not great, but I think he'll figure that out in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay, should we move on?
I'm trying to think of anything else. Yeah, I mentioned this once. The hazard control's bad. I will definitely be bringing Fortress.
Okay.
But yeah, go ahead.
Next. Oh, Sam.
Next, okay, so this is the biggest agreement in the top rankings from the consensus group. I was much higher on Sam than Soslow was. Talk was right in the middle. The reason I'm higher.
This is consensus.
What's up?
This is consensus.
What do you mean?
I thought you said we had consensus on this.
No, I said or I was.
We're getting into like the top tier. Consensus top tier.
Yeah, of the top tier. So I think Sam's team is really good. I think he is a great battler, and I think he always team preps well enough to never be like caught off guard by something. I don't think I can remember Sam getting like absolutely blown out. Like sometimes he'll make like a mistake and lose, but like I think his team is very good. I know he's made some changes recently, and based on Mega Altaria's stats, they were good ones because holy fuck, that thing's kind of doing work right now. And I played him before he had that, and he still kind of worked me, even though it was a 2-1. It was not really a close 2-1. The one thing I will say about Sam's team is I don't think he has great walls. He has a Mola Mola, which is like can take any physical hit, and he's using Jirachi kind of exclusively, I feel like, in the special wall role, where that should be another mon that's like super versatile. It can fill any niche you need. Where with his team right now, I feel like it's kind of only filling one, because like he doesn't really have any special walls besides that.
Yeah, I think Sam is not using Jirachi as well as he could have. I don't think the team really lends itself for him doing that because, like you said, the lack of walls, the lack of defense, which is kind of very unlike Sam. I feel like Sam's teams
It's
usually
so
are pretty.
He normally has the pinkest team in the fucking realm.
Yeah.
Like, so pink, so fat, so in, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Mega alt is
so wet.
Mega alt is going to be really scary though. Come playoff time, that thing is a beast.
Yeah.
Mega alt is like, I can't tell if it's like the better or worse version of Dragonite, because there's this one set with Mega Altaria.
I think it's better. Dragonite is low-key mad overrated.
You think so? Okay. Because I was debating picking up Dragonite, but Mega Altaria has this one set where you go D-Dance, Heal Bell, Return, and Roost. And it's just like, if you don't have
Roost, yeah.
If you don't have something that no-cos it, like you're gonna lose. Like you're literally going to lose on that set. So I'm scared of it, but I think you can pretty safely switch something in because it's not going to OHKO whatever you send in. Jirachi is really scary, I've found. It's just like a good offensive and defensive mon. There's one set with that like steel version of Future Sight, which is really good, that I would love to see run.
Doom Desire.
Doom Desire. Yeah, that move is nasty. I would love to see that run 1 week. It'd be really cool. Obstagoon is scary.
I disagree. I think Obstagoon is like one of the worst dark types you can have for its point.
Obstagoon is super mid.
Interesting. Okay. My take on Obstagoon is that it fills the same role as like Conk or Machamp.
Yeah, I mean, it's
you send it. You can't really send it in on a Facade.
But its attack is what, 100, and Conquest is 140. Like,
yeah, but a Stab Facade kind of makes up for it.
Yeah, the Stab Facade is very, very good. One thing I will say, it does not seem he's the Gligar king. It does not seem like he's using Gligar as well this season.
Yeah. Yeah. So the two other things I'd say is that your walls, Gligar and Aloma, if you have sub against them, like they can't really do much. So I always felt
I feel
comfortable.
like mixed attackers do really well against Sam's team. Granted, there's not very many good ones, so like it's a bet that you should be willing to take.
Yeah.
But I feel like
There was one, it was like versus Bert in the finals, I think, of our first season where Gola won, where he would always send in Mega Guard against Clef because Mega Guard or like Clef couldn't touch Mega Guard. And
Yeah.
he just essentially got a free kill after that every time. Like whenever I see Gligar or Lola come in, I am sending in an offensive threat. Like you can't touch the offensive threat in any way.
which is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
With walls, and his walls do have it. If you bring in Gligar or if you bring in a Mola, click flip turn or click U-turn. Do not
Yeah.
stay in.
Yeah.
Stay
Yeah.
in, it's a free win for the other team.
Yeah. So that's what I'd say. So I had Sam as like an 8 team. I think his team is good. Polt is scary, but it can be worked around. I'm most scared of Altaria Mega and Goon. So good team. 6 on team build. I just like haven't been that impressed with team builds. Like there hasn't been any crazy sets that have like 1-in games. And then a 5 on battling. It's just like I think actually he's probably better on battling. He's a good battler. So I'll give him like a 7 on battling. Yeah.
I totally thought a Mola got flip turn.
Yeah,
Nah.
it doesn't get flipped in.
I'm just dumb.
Yeah.
Thank you, Clayton, for pointing out my stupidity. All right.
All right.
Shall we go to the
All
next
right.
one? The second
Oh,
of would it be a season without Soslow changing half his team right before the playoffs? No, it would not. And it makes him impossible to fucking gauge. He does it every year. And it's not worked, but I have a feeling it might this year because his best used mons are his lower tier ones, like Zapdos and Spectre.
well, I
He
don't
didn't
have
switch-
Spectre anymore.
You don't have Spectre anymore?
No, I dropped it for Clef Kid.
It still
Why
has
is
it on
it
your
still on the team?
I think there was
That's
like
weird.
confusion with
Hey,
the
hey,
contracts.
admins. Hey,
Hey,
admins.
hey,
Fix that.
oh my God. You're making us look bad here. Oh, they put that in there to make us look bad, dude. But yeah, I think Tapu Lele and Aerodactyl are extremely scary. Your team is already scary enough with Zapdos and I guess not Spectre, but Zapdos you have used so well. I used to think it was not that good because no one's really used it in our league. And now you're using it. I'm like, oh, like, is it even better than Hawlucha? It is so much better than Hawlucha. Like it's not even close. I think you've played the hardest schedule this year, which is kind of crazy. You finished 7-3, which is pretty much what you finish every season, basically.
Yeah.
A cheeky 7-3.
Yeah.
A very cheeky 7-3.
Of the few matches I've seen you play with Lele, I'm not sure you understand it super well, which is weird because you traded for it back in the day also, and it didn't work out as well. But now I'm very
What would
worried
you?
also because I beat him in the regular season. I'm set to play him in the playoffs, and normally I lose in the regular season. I beat him in the playoffs. I think it might be the issue this year. Slowbro, like you've been completely fine with. Like you pretty much you come in, you teleport. That's what it does. I do the same thing with Slowking. Like that's what its role is for, and it's the best mon with that role in there. Regenerator with teleport is broken. It always will be. I think you having both your kind of main walls be water types is a little iffy, but it's not as big a deal because grass and electric types aren't super common, and Rotom takes neutral from electric types anyway. Yeah, I think Aerodactyl is so scary. I think you definitely need to run Hone Claws more than Dragon Dance. Dragon Dance on Mega Aerodactyl is the most useless setup move, in my opinion. It already has 150 speed. It outspeeds everything. Like, I have no idea why Dragon Dance is even in. Like, Hone Claws makes Stone Edge and Dual Wing Beat 100% accurate. You're killing pretty much everything with those moves. You click Hone Claws, do not click Dragon Dance. I don't know. Talk. What do you think about the team?
No, I think it's funny because I think Sosslow's taking the meta to another extreme. The meta of like stab flying and bulky waters. Like he's just all in on that. No, but this, I mean, this also works me in our game, obviously, but the hazard control is really good, especially with like Don Fan getting your Don Fan, I guess, and Rotom Wash is another defogger. The low tier mons are good, they all put in work. Klefki, I don't think is really that good. Obviously, like I can't say this because it works me, but like I don't know. I think it's definitely very matchup dependent.
I think it is a bad only steel type to have.
Yes.
What it is for him. Thankfully, it's not his only steel and his only fairy because he has a much better fairy. But having your only steel type not be bulky is not great, in my opinion.
Yeah. What would Gola, you made a good point about Lele. I don't know how to use Lele. Like what would like how do you use Lele? I don't know how to do it. Like what do you
You
do?
put specs on it and you click psychic or moonblast. Like
Okay.
Or sub Calm Mind.
Yeah. Okay. And then the thing that I've been most proud about with my team this year
on
is
first.
yeah, of course. Like I think my team is like on paper, it's okay. Like it's a 6 or 7 out of 10 team, but I've been able to configure it in ways that have made it work. And I wasn't bringing like Monferno as a joke. I was literally bringing it because it was the best thing in the situation that I was bringing it in, and it worked. It's like 8 and 4 is a 1-point mon. And Hatchram, like the week I brought it, was the best thing that I could have brought it for.
Oh yeah.
And Lickitung in those weeks I brought it,
Hatchram in Monferno the same week against Bert, didn't you?
and I won. Yeah. I remember texting you, I was like, yo, I think I'm gonna bring Hatchram. And then like 2 hours later, I was like, yo, I think we're gonna bring Monferno too. And then so I don't think I have a great team, but I think I like figure it out. So I'm happy with my team builds. The thing that I had to pick up Klefki because they're like my choice of steel types were Kartana and then Klefki pretty much. Like it was those two. And then Klefki goes well with
Klefki's the
ZG.
better one here for sure.
Yeah. Klefki
be
goes
way
better
too
with
hard.
ZG because it forces defogs
Yeah.
with screens and or spikes.
Oh yeah, that's very good. That's a very good point that I didn't consider. Is Klefki very much forces defogs, and Zapdos is the scariest thing to put in to a defog.
Yeah. So like I think in past years I've been building around one Pokemon, which was like Rillaboom last year, and then I don't know, the year before I was just Dragonite maybe. This year I'm building around ZG, and I think it's working pretty well. Yeah.
I mean, it definitely shows up on the stat sheet. That thing has been terrifying.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
That's we don't need to believe in my team, but I think I'm excited about the playoffs. There's certain teams that I think I can beat, and then there's one team I know I can't beat, which is Bert's. So I really hope I don't play Bert's team. So
speaking of Bert.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So another good deal of variance here. Soslow, you put Bert as the #1 team on your power rankings. Would you care to explain?
Happily. Adam, I'm going to turn off your video. Cool. All right. Bert, where's my Bert notes? All right. Well, here's what I'll say is Bert, with the stupidest fucking draft ever, had a terrible team.
Yeah.
And in that process, like we all know Bert is really good at team builds and he's really good at battling. He was able to figure out with a really shitty team how to like more or less be fine, like serviceable. And then now he actually has a really good team. Like D-Speed and Zeraora are like incredible mons. Like you can't really run a scarf against him because D-Speed is probably going to outspeed it regardless. And then he also has Rain with Pelipper and Swampert, which like covers the weakness of Melmetal, and then Licky to kind of fix it up. And then you also have to prepare for Shedinja in some way. So it's like when it comes to a team I'm most scared of, I actually think he has the best team out of everybody. Like I am very scared of his team. He balances special offense with very, very intense physical offense. I don't know how I break his team. I think he has incredible speed. The big issue is probably with speed tiers. Like I guess between Zeraora and Swampert, there's probably nothing much. Or I guess Silvally kind of sits in between there. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm not super scared of Silvally, but then again, he could figure out subset because he's a really good team builder to make it work. So when I look at, say, like the best battlers, I think it's Gola and Bert. And when I look at the best team builders, I think Bert like outplays you a lot there, Gola. And then I also think he has a better team than you this year. So I put him at number 1.
Interesting. Yeah. So I'm probably being a little harsh for the early season results in my ranking for Bert, because he basically threw his entire early season kind of drafting a trash team just to like be like, oh, I want to use these mods that no one used. I mean, I'm sure he knew, but no one probably used them for a reason. So his mod differential suffers. He's 7-3, yes, which is like kind of the minimum for what I'd expect from him in a season. But this also goes back to like, I'm not a huge weather guy, and like his top 4 mons are really good in my opinion, but Pelipper is a useless mon just to make Swampert better. And I think his bottom 5 don't scare me at all, really. Like from Silvally down, I don't see a single like, oh God, like I hope he doesn't bring this scary set with this mon. Like they're just kind of like bulky, like there's not like a shell smash mon potential that could sweep you. Like it's just like kind of a bunch of meh mons. Like Serena has like he has Pelipper for defog, Serena with rapid spin, but like I also am not the biggest Zeraora fan, because I've famously been on record this power ranking stream is saying offensive electric types aren't that good.
They are garbage,
which I stand
by.
by.
Zeraora is low-key trash, but he's been playing it well.
Yeah. I think he has proven Deoxys speed is much better than I thought it would be, like so much better. I knew that he would be like such a good Melmetal user. That mon's fucking scary. But I'm glad that I have Terrakion and Garchomp on my team for it, even though he also does not really have a special wall at all. His best one is like Licky Licky. But like if you use Taunt, it's kind of useless. So that's kind of why I'm 5th as opposed to your 1st, Soslow. Do you have a middling opinion?
I think yes, I'll give the middling opinion. Zeraora is good. Zeraora is good, and Silvally is really good. I think Silvally with Bert is incredibly scary because he'll just pick like the type that he knows you're going to be weakest against, make that the Silvally set, run Swords Dance, and just like and hit something really, really hard.
Yeah.
And like getting parting shot, getting U-turn on Silvally is big. Lots of momentum on this team. Lots of like hard hitters. I hope he brings Specs Pelipper again, because that set is actually really, really good. Yeah, I think the speed tiers are weird. I like Serena too. I don't know why you guys are hating on it. I think
Serena's good.
Yeah. Spinning, it is pretty specially bulky too. And then I think it was funny the 1 week, I forget who he played, but people forget that Queenly Majesty stops priority moves, which is like gonna be a way to deal with Swampert at some point, or Dio speed or Zera is priority moves, and then if you switch Serena in, then it's just completely useless.
That's
like when he plays Rillaboom, he just sends in Serena. Yeah,
that's a very good point.
No, this team is good, and yeah, I expect Bert to be there when it's all said and done. So
yep. Yeah. All right, so we go to number 2.
Onwards.
Big surprise. Clay's not gonna love this, especially Soslow. Soslow got it. Soslow.
Why walking away?
Why is our regular season champion number 4 on the Soslow?
Okay, his strength of 6 schedule is he was 9-1. Damn, I didn't realize that. I thought he was like 8-2. Regardless, okay, his win versus me. I just want to go out there and say, I'm not unhappy about it, but it was a garbage win. That first game was the most timely. It was the most timely crit fathomable. And then I think it would have been a close game 3. He deserved to win game 2. I just don't think his team is that good. That's like my big gripe with it. And then he's also not that great. I guess he added Flacky, which is a good pickup over Crabominable. But I thought Crabominable bring was like a sus bring. And then I feel like I have notes on him, but okay. Yeah, he's just like average all around, like you can't like seriously put him above Gola or Bert. Like they're going to beat him like in the playoffs. So his team is good. his battling, his team build is like solid. I thought his bulky Coco bring was very smart, especially as like a counter to ZG. Like there's only like a few mons that can actually counter ZG, and I think Coco is one of them. And he's played really well with Coco. And then I think his battling is like average, like to good. I don't think he's particularly great battling, like 6 or 7 out of 10 on battling. So like across the board, he's like not particularly fantastic in anything. And compared to Bert and compared to Gola, he definitely like falters. Yeah. And then he should have lost to Talk too. So like if he should have lost to Talk and he should have lost to me, he would have lost. Then he's like 7-3, just like where like, and then no one would argue that he's the best in the league. So that's my take.
Yeah, I think the reason that I put myself 1 and Clayton 2 is because I absolutely curb stomped the shit out of him. But I think I was in the Coco is overrated camp before the season, but he has proven that that is not the case. Coco is really, really good. I think he's way too reliant on Intimidate Salamence as his physical mon, as his physical wall, because I don't think it's really that good of a physical wall. I think Marowak Alola is extremely underrated. Every time he brings that thing, it is so scary. Like everyone that like I have fucking Incineroar and he still brought it. Like it resists both his stab. Granted, he gets like Earthquake and everything, but like that mon is so scary. I think Porygon 2, he plays it a little too passively, like kind of on the team building thing, like forgetting that I'd put Taunt on Mega Gardevoir is kind of inexcusable if you have a Porygon 2. Like it's the only way that I'm gonna beat it is with Taunt. And like I think Mega Blastoise, especially with Terrain Pulse, is really, really hard to switch in. I'm worried I kind of blew my load with the specially defensive Mega Gardevoir because it definitely beats Blastoise, but I don't think he'll forget Scizor this time when I bring it again. I think he's kind of underutilized Krookodile. Krookodile is really fucking good. And it be like Clayton is another team. Like he has one really good mon, a bunch of like solid mons, and then some kind of trash that'll never bring at the end. Like he brought Swalot one week and it worked, but like I don't know. I think he has 7 usable mons. Like I'm never really gonna prepare for like Manturn, like but I think his team's really good. He obviously proved that with the 9-1 record. His mon differential is not as good as mine and Sam, so I think he did have some good luck in matches. Sounds like we were saying against you, especially. There's no reason he should have won that. Talk, I think he kind of outplayed Talk after that game 1. But yeah, I think his team's really good. But yeah, I think he's a little too reliant on physically defensive Salamence.
I'll say, and I think I've been saying this since like we've been in the league. But Clayton is like probably the most like by the book, turn by turn player in the league, and it gets to be predictable at some point. I feel like I've gotten to a point where I can read Clayton pretty well. But it's, he expects you to make the right move every time, and I think that can be the downfall in some cases. Like some people like to play riskier than others. Clayton is just very, very like methodical and makes the right move every time, and I think that gets him into trouble. But yeah, this team, I think this team is really scary. I think Coco Mega Blastoise is like an insane core.
So scary.
I really like, I think I like the composition of the team, Coco being 19 points, and then Krook is 14, and then everything else is less than 14. Yeah. Or like I think Krook, Salamence, and Scizor are all 14 points or something, which is wild. Scizor has been kind of underwhelming. I think like when you have the ability to run an item on Scizor, like you should take advantage of that. Running Banded Scizor is really good. Running like, leftovers and stuff like that, just like bulky sets. I think it's been underwhelming this season, but he's played really well and he's the regular season champ. So
yeah. That Marowak Alola 28-9 is nuts.
Yeah.
That thing has gone off this season.
It's 2 mons that have just absolutely cleaned for his team as the rest stay alive, which I think is a good strategy.
Yeah. What do you switch?
Yeah, the number 1 team also does.
Yeah. What do you switch into Marowak Alola?
Nothing.
All right. The number 1 team, Soslow. Okay. Also, that mon differential is wrong. I'm plus 50. I think I fucked that one up. But me and Talk put myself as 1. Other put me as 2. I will let you guys talk. I will think that the biggest change in my season by far was the pickup of Magnezone. That thing is disgustingly good. I think
So
it's
nice.
extremely underrated, and I'm very happy that someone dropped it so that I could pick it up. But I will let you guys comment on my team.
I mean, this is the classic Gola team, the core that we all know. And then he brought his 2 favorite mons from last season onto the team as well, in Crobat and Fortress. No, this team is really good. It's really hard to deal with. I had to run like a very gimmicky team just to beat it. And like Gola said, if he had run Roost on Crobat, then it would have been totally different. Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much to say. I think this team is really scary. I think you should use Incineroar better than you do. The stats make you think that you've been bringing like good Incineroars, but I think you could bring better Incineroars.
Fair.
Yeah. I think your team this year I don't like that it's the same team you used in your game-winning season, like your championship winning season. Because like I want some creativity out here, you know. But it's like it's a really good team. Like Mega Guard is nasty. Anytime it gets in, like what switches in. Also, that one set you ran against Clayton with like Taunt, Wish, that special defensive guard set, I think
I'm very worried I blew my load. But
that
like
has to be up there.
the only
It's so
mod I
sick.
ever have against Blastoise, you know.
Yeah. I feel like that set should be up there for best set of the year, like when we do like the award winnings, because that literally won the game. I don't think there was anything he could have done about that. That was incredible.
Because he didn't bring Scizor, he literally could not kill it. He could not kill that mod.
Yeah. It was great. I was watching that in the airport and I was like, wow, this is Picasso. And like, mwah. Like this is magnum opus right here. So yeah, maybe you blew your load too early. But I feel like every mod on your team has had like 1 week where it just like went off. Crobat week 1, maybe even like week 3 or something. Magnezone just like does its job, especially with the scarf. Like, dude, Magnezone has so many good sets. You can run it tanky, you can run it scarf, you can run it specs, you can run it as a trapper, you can run it as a screen setter. It is so good. It is so good. And even with like it added as 1 point this year, I wish I picked it up. You run as balloon, like there's so many good things you can do it. I actually do think you've been using Incineroar well, but I think you've been using Incineroar as a crutch. And the reason I think you've been using it as a crutch is you use it as your like almost your specially defensive switch in and then pivot out. So there were 2 weeks this season where I noticed the same trend going on where me and Z tried to bully out your Incineroar because it was your only switch in for our ghost type. So like I tried to bully it out with like, say for example, you didn't have Incineroar. I would just click Shadow Ball all day. Well, I mean, it's Spectre. Like I have to click Shadow Ball all day, regardless. But like my goal, the only way I was going to win that game, and I was hammered in that game, for what it was worth, was I was going to click Shadow Ball and I was going to click Mudshot until I could break down Incineroar. And once Incineroar died, I like had a free sweep at that point with Spectre. So like you're using it as a crutch as like your specially defensive mon for Shadow Ball. And like Z did the same thing with Blacephalon. He was trying to break it. And then, but I don't think what he accounted for was Scarf Magnezone. If you didn't have Scarf Magnezone, you would have lost that game to Blacephalon.
He doesn't have a ground type, so there was no reason for me to not bring Scarf Magnezone.
Yeah, that's actually good point. I'm gonna bring Scarf Rotom Wash and just full switch over his team. And then, so I think your team's good. I don't. The biggest gripe that we had with your original team and the same gripe now, which I'm surprised you didn't fix, is the overlap of Garchomp and Terrakion. Like you had the chance at 1 point to switch Terrakion for Keldeo, and I think that would have been a better choice. It just does more. So like, right, like what you're seeing is like Terrakion is like underwhelming and Garchomp is underwhelming, more or less. So that's, and then you have to rely on your other mons. But like across the board, I think the biggest thing that makes you really good at mons is you can have maybe a slightly worse team, but you figure out throughout the battle how to win. So you are definitely, I think, the best battler in the league, then probably Bert. I think you have had some really interesting sets in the past, like your choice band Volcanion last season, and then your Gardevoir set this season. But I think, and then also like your Nasty Plot, maybe you are a better team builder than I think. But your team is like, I would say your team is good, but not like impeccable. And there are weaknesses, especially on the specially defensive side. I guess Slow King especially defensive. But yeah, it's like I think there are ways to break holes in it.
Grass.
Yeah.
Thanks. No, I totally agree with the Garchomp and Terrakion thing. It's something that I've struggled with much more this season than I did in the original one. In the original one, I felt like I brought them both all the time and it was fine. And they were, I think, Mega Gardevoir, Garchomp, and Terrakion were all top 10 in kills my first season. But this season, I'm finding it increasingly difficult with the way that other people are building their teams to bring both of them. And I don't know what the difference in my team this year is, but I like having them both on the team because obviously Mega Gardevoir's weakness is steel types. And some steel types have secondary types that make ground moves not as good, and some have secondary types that make fighting moves not as good, but barely any have secondary types that make it both not as good. So Terrakion and Garchomp are really good in that way, where I basically just use them as wall breakers. You know that Gardevoir is a wall breaker also, where like with my momentum that I have with, you know, Slow King, Incineroar, Magnezone, Crobat, and Fortress all having good momentum, I basically just get my wall breakers in for free. And there's not a lot of stuff that can handle two of them at once, let alone all three.
Yeah. You have
So
really good wall
I've
breakers.
been trying to find a way to offload Garchomp or Terrakion for a better fitting mon all year, but I can't really find one
Yeah. Yeah.
for the available mons. Maybe I could do a trade, but like I haven't really been able to find one. So
I think Fortress is like the biggest mon on your team because you need it's like it serves hazard control. Like that's the biggest. I think you need hazard control, and it's just like hazard control in a ball.
I don't know that Crobat and Fortress are my two only hazard control mons, but they're both good enough to come any week and not be a liability. So it's not like the worst thing in the world, but like it's not great that none of my top six mons get hazard control.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like you do kind of have to bring Fortress often. And you picked it up halfway through the season, right?
No, Fortress I
drafted that.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
my team is the
Yeah.
exact same with the exception of Magnezone. I dropped something for Quagsire, and Quagsire fucking blows, so I dropped that for Magnezone, actually.
the only good groundwater is Swampert, and that thing is great.
It has flip turn and hazards.
Yes, it has double momentum. As I say, it's either hazards or flip turn, and you get both. It's great.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, cool. But
Let's
that's
go to the summary. Does
Okay.
anyone in the chat have any qualms ranking? Clayton, I'm sure you have qualms. You were the regular season champ, and not a single person voted you as number one. I would be pissed if that was me, but
he in chat. He goes salt. I literally kicked Bert's ass, and this is after I spoke. He says, "Sounds like you should have both been better." Dab. He included the dab in what he said. Yeah.
So I do appreciate Clayton's response to you because you're like, oh my God, I lost to Clayton because of hacks. But I do appreciate the irony in that statement.
I beat Bert because of hacks. I think I still would have beaten Sam without hacks.
Yeah, you really did have the
Oh,
hardest
man.
schedule. You played fucking me, Bert, Clayton, and Sam.
And shoot. I played the top 7 teams. I played
Yeah.
you, Bert, Sam, Talk, Shoop. And I didn't play Z, but Z was ranked 12th. So
You tilted Sam by saying that you would have beaten Sam anyway.
I guess one thing we should have done after the power rankings, we should have done our like playoff predictions. Do we have any teams on upset watch for round 1?
Well, what are the so it's
In the plane, it's Matt versus Roger, and then you and him.
Matt's gonna win easy.
I agree.
And then I'm gonna beat Andrew. And then that'll mean me.
This is playoff team build, Andrew. You better come to play. You better come to play.
Me versus Clayton in round 1. That's an easy dub for me. I always beat Clayton in playoffs.
Dude, I'm terrified to play Matt. I really am. I'm so terrified to play him, especially as Mega Sharpedo. I have no idea how I'm going to deal with it.
let me see the rankings.
I might have to pick something up. But I don't know what I can pick up because I stress so hard that my 8 mons are so crucial, and I'm not going to drop a 1-pointer. What 1-pointer can fucking beat Mega Sharpedo? I already have Palpitoad. Like,
Soslow Z, that'll be fun.
Yeah,
Thought
Z could easily beat me.
with
Use
the,
my
with the
crypto.
hazard, it's not even going to be close. It's not even going to be close.
Unless he picks
Sam
up
Bird is gonna be absolutely wild.
Bird is going to be a fucking movie. Absolute movie.
Yeah. Who do you think wins that? I think Bert wins.
I
Honestly.
think Bird wins too.
Pretty handedly. Sorry, Sam. Not sorry.
Sam's team. What's Sam's team? What does Sam have to stop Rain? Anything? A
Oh,
Mola. He's a
Altaria.
Mola. He's a Mola.
He also has Cloud9 Altaria.
Swampert is-
Mega Balls.
Hmm.
Swampert is useless. I kind of pick Sam.
Nah, Bert's gonna figure it out. Bert knows this.
They
Yeah.
played in the regular season and Burt won, right?
No, Sam is going to win week 1, and then when Bert plays him again in like the semifinals of the loser bracket, Bert will beat him.
Hmm.
I
Interesting.
feel that.
Interesting. I could see me losing to Z.
No, you're not.
Uh,
No, yeah, he predicts the shit as you. You normally are the mind game guy, and you get outminded. You get outminded.
yeah. And then I could see. Oh yeah, I could see Talk beating Clayton.
I can't do.
Stock, what are you going to do differently this time?
Dude, I'm gonna bring Banded Togedemaru
I love it.
and do work.
I love it.
Awesome. Well, sweet guys. Anything else we should touch on?
What do you
What,
think?
what do you think was the best?
Talk
What do you think was
awards
the
at all?
best
Like,
game
who we
this
think's going to
season?
win? Who do you think we should be MVP of the league and all that stuff?
Oh, should I bring
Greninja.
that up? I'll bring that up.
Yeah,
Okay.
bring up the kill leaders and everything. Talk, as good as your Greninja was, I don't think he's MVP. I think he's Offensive Player of the Year.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I think MVP could be. It could just be Coco, right? I feel like that probably makes the most sense.
Yeah, I think Coco should probably be MVP, honestly.
It had the highest KD in the league, and it's very like he ran defensive, he ran offensive. Like,
Yeah,
it pretty
best
much-
non-best team, like probably.
Uh,
It's definitely. I mean, Mega Guard. Make the case, Golden. Make the case for Mega Guard.
It just
Mega
comes
Guard could be up there.
when
Yeah.
your favorite mon dies. Everyone thinks they have a fucking Mega Guard answer until their Mega Guard answer takes fucking 35% from Hyper Voice. Everyone thinks they have a Mega Guard answer, and then I click Shadow Ball and it kills afterwards. Remember when we year 1 when Bert's like, "Oh, my team's so good against Mega Gardevoir," and he's like, "My team sucks against Mega Gardevoir."
I think it's between Coco and Guard, but I
Yeah,
think
it's
Coco definitely
Coco is
definitely
better.
takes the cake. Yeah.
Also, I have a fundamental issue with how the defensive mons are voted, like defensive mon of the year.
Okay.
It should be how little your defensive mon dies, not if your defensive mon is able to get some kills. Like, if I bring Slowking to 20 matches and it dies 6 times, it was a great defensive mon. You know, it literally came in 8 hits, teleported out to get my good hitting mons in. Like, yeah, Clefable is a defensive mon, but like if it's running Calm Mind every fucking week, it's not
Do you
really.
think
defensive
people are voting for defensive mons based off of how many times
Yes.
they kill? I do not vote like that at all.
Well, I
I
think
vote holistically.
past
on,
past voting has shown that to be true.
okay, so you're getting your spiel out now.
Spiel. And the fact that Clayton's fucking whatchamacall, his Sableye won against my Noivern in the pickup of the year 2 years ago. When my Noivern
That was
was
bad.
like,
It's still salty.
I'm just kidding. Clayton knows
Still
how to
salty.
but yeah.
What
now
else?
I need to pick up, or I need to look at the draft league standings.
Who do you think is the thrift mon of the year this year? Monferno?
Oh,
Maybe it's Monferno.
Yeah, I mean, your 1 point mon had 8 kills. That's like pretty unheard of in this league, to be honest. I'm trying to think league statistics.
I think Thwacky, that 1 week you brought Thwacky went off. Also Talk. Why did you drop Thwacky?
Well, I needed answers. I needed answers for.
I'm so happy that you dropped Slowbro and Thwacky. I'm so happy because if I play you now, I can beat you.
Well, no, you can't. What are you switching into Gren?
Gren, Magnezone.
No. No. That's not an answer.
All right. But yeah, see on the active season deaths per match, the only mons that weren't brought like less than 10 times are Coco and Slow King for me and Clayton.
Yeah.
Like if Clayton brings Coco, it doesn't die. If I bring Slow King, it doesn't die. That's normally my win con. If Slow King stays alive, I win. Obviously, if one of my mons stays alive, I win. But like, if you just let me fucking click teleport with that thing, you're gonna lose.
That's an interesting. Do you go for defensive win cons, Dola?
No, I don't. But like, if you just let me, like, if you don't have a mon that can like 2-hit KO Slow King, then I feel like you've already lost to my team.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
I don't think I have a mon that 2-codes Slow King.
If you run banded ZG, you can 2-hit.
With a Brave Bird,
Yeah.
maybe.
But if I
And
put
you run then you run Rocky Helmet and then it kills
yeah,
itself.
you're taking clue 2 Brave Birds, you're pretty much already dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, let's call it. I'm tired.
We need to get Spectre back in the league. That thing went off the played.
Yeah, how is it? Why is it still on your team?
It's I guess the admins never took it off when I went through that weird tiff with Clayton and I.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to fix that. Who do you think wins the season? Is it gonna be Gola again? Bert? Soslow?
I think the safe bet is either me or Bert.
Yeah. Unfortunately, so what's going on in the league is I think we need there's like clear tiers. Pokemon is it's like somewhat luck based, but it's kind of not. Like if I'm playing anyone in the bottom 4 teams, I'm going to win that game. And we all will, unless you're talking, you play
Never
Mad.
talk, yeah.
And then the middle tier teams can like take wins off of us, like me and Talk. And then there's 4 tiers. There's 4 tiers. There's the bottom tier. Then there's the 3rd tier, which is like Kevin, Roger, Cosinity. And then there's like me, Sam, Clayton. I think Talk, you're wavering between like middle tier and upper tier. And I think Shoop is probably upper tier. And then there's like God tier, and then there's Bert and Gola. And I think the bottom tier can't win off of anybody. And then the 3rd tier can win off of the 2nd tier. And then the 2nd tier can beat the 1st tier, but the 3rd tier can't beat the 1st tier. And the 4th tier can't beat the 2nd tier, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I feel that.
I think Bert's lost to the 3rd tier a couple times, right? At least in the regular season.
I think Matt's beaten Bert before,
Yeah.
but Matt's
Shoop
2nd
I
tier.
consider 2nd tier.
Yeah.
Okay. I've lost to every one of the admins and both of you guys.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's it.
I haven't beaten Soslow yet.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Ever since the Rock Blast.
No, you
Ever
did
since
beat
the
me.
Rock
You did
Blast.
beat me.
What?
You did beat me. You beat me last season when I
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Roll
Because
out
you
Swampert
ran a bad Mega Alakazam. That was why.
I ran Stored Power Zam and roll out Swampert.
Yeah. Shit.
I love when Soslow like gets in his own head with how sick his sets are and they're just trash.
Wait, was that the season you didn't make the playoffs because you lost to Mike?
Yes. Talk did not make the playoffs last season.
I lost to Z. That's why I didn't make playoffs.
I see. Yeah, that was tough. I could see Talk making a run this year. Because he's gonna
We'll make a run.
he needs to win his first game. Talk, you win your first game, you're gonna be Clayton. I'm confident in that.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. Oh man.
Dude, I'm so worried about my first game, dude. If I play Matt, that Mega Sharpedo is gonna be such an issue.
Yeah. You need
But
something.
I also
so
know
bad.
that if I get Terrakion in, something dies. So
Yeah, but if he runs Mega Sharpedo with Protect, Crunch, Liquidation,
he's gonna run Hydro Pump.
You can run that mixed.
Because it doesn't need fucking bulk at all. Because it has none. Yeah.
Do you have anything with Mach Punch? Because I feel like his team is weak to Mach Punch.
I have nothing with Mach Punch, no. I have
Track
quick attack on Terrakion,
Quick attack, yeah.
which will probably do like low key 40% to Sharpedo. Like
What are Torpedo stats?
Sharpedo sets he's gonna run Crunch, Ice Fang, and Hydro Pump.
Yeah, okay, so this, I think Mega Sharpedo.
Actually, no, he's gonna run close combat for Magnezone or Earthquake. One of
Yeah.
them for Magnezone.
This is a good addition for him because he needs a cleaner.
I know.
So if he
he does.
runs Protects,
I'll be right back.
if he runs Protect, he'll go pretty far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn. Psychic Fangs does 85 base power. Damn, 1.5x? I thought it was 1.3.
What?
Strong Jaw.
Yeah, Strong Jaw is ridiculous.
So that means Crunch is a 120 base power move. That's crazy.
All he has to do is like click Protect before he Mega Evolves, get to +1 speed, and then it's like
I think he might sweep goal. if yeah. Because imagine, like, what does he have to switch into that?
he has to hope to switch in Magnezone, or like if he gets Magnezone and clean, even still, it's like dying.
Yeah,
Just
no, he needs like Scarf Magnezone.
Yeah.
I think
It's
maybe
probably not
he
enough.
has to understand what set he runs. I don't think he runs. Yeah, goalie, you're kind of fucked to Mega Sharpedo. We've realized this.
Yeah, I know, right?
Why do you think he's gonna run mixed?
Because Fortress would wall up if he doesn't run mixed.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna get off because I'm fucking tired.
Okay. I'll see you guys.
All right.
Later.
So you guys,
Peace, later.
Salzo, you recorded this, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna pause. Hopefully I have enough computer to hold an hour, 30-minute long recording. All right.
Peace,
Cheers.
Quinny. Great
Peace.
talking.